Campbell's comments and talking tactics, catching up tonight. Josh Aiken after a very successful Saturday night. Joshy, good night at the office, mate.
Yeah, can't complain. All the boys raced really well, and it was great to see Malcolm's Rhythm win after a bit of time off. And the three fellas that we had in the last race all raced, super, and couldn't have been any happier, really.
No, exactly. And I was going to say about Malcolm's Rhythm. We'll talk about him first, if you like. He was pretty awesome. He was awesome on his return to the racetrack at Bendigo the other night. I thought you couldn't have been any happier, but obviously he must have done very well by you guys, and you're prepared to back him up on what on paper looked to be, for mine, a pretty strong race, really.
Yeah, for sure. We couldn't have been any happier within that first run. It was a pretty strong field, and to be honest, we were a little bit kind of concerned. You never know when they've had such a long break how they're going to handle the race pressure, but he couldn't have gone any better and just got through the run so well. And there was that race last night that he looked pretty well graded in, and we were happy enough to back him up in that. And initially when I first saw the field, I thought it was going to be highly competitive, and when I saw he came, opened $1.70 favourite, I did personally think he was way too short. And I suppose the problem with that is you're pressured to drive him a certain way once they do open up so short, especially over the mile at Melton.
And right where we are now, you say about that, like Repeat After Me found the front. There was a little bit of tactical moves, and you had to work pretty hard to get to the death. This part here, where you hand up to the Luke McCarthy horse, Craigieburn, I wasn't sure you were going to hand up actually at that stage. It must have been one of those tough choices you had to make.
Yeah, for sure. We kind of floated out three wide, and Michelle got to the front, and Repeat After Me can get a little bit keen, and she kind of kept him rolling. We broke 29 that second quarter, going into a strong headwind, and I was happy enough to follow John. Craig Cross's horses are going to get you to where you need to get to. They're pretty fit. They've had some rock hard racing up at Menangle, and it just worked out perfect. I think if I didn't get cover at that point, I really would have struggled to win the race. It kind of sort of worked out really well.
I've just got you here, mate. It's about the 300, 350 from home, and you actually had to wake him up a little bit before you pulled him out. He looked like he was just sort of probably going through the motions a little bit, which sometimes the art majors can have a tendency to do. But then when you pulled him out, he seemed to just get the wobbles a little bit. Was that just a little bit of race practice or match practice a bit with him?
He can do that. He can do it out of the gate as well. He can be a little bit in and out. But he swelled up pretty good around the bend. And when I initially pulled him out, I thought, I probably could have waited another 100 metres. And in hindsight, I definitely could have waited another 100 metres until we were straightening to pull him out. Luckily, he still got there. But at the time, he felt really good. He swelled up nice. And then once I pulled him out, I thought, we might be in a bit of trouble here. But credit to him, he's a classy horse, and he wasn't going to stop trying up the straight.
No, he definitely is a classy horse, and as you said there, he had a good crack up the straight. I've just got something on there. I'm trying to get it off. I'm not sure if I hit the wrong button, Josh. You know what'll happen, don't you? It'll drive me nuts. So I won't. Yes, I know how to do it now. It's all good. He was good up the straight though. And he found the line really well. A Fair Old Dance is going good. Repeat After Me, it was awesome at Bendigo the other night as well. So it was a good testing little finish for him. Is there a reason the stable...
Yes.
Sorry?
Yeah, for sure. They're all up-and-coming horses that are going to be really competitive and going to be really competitive at Melton, and sort of there'll be a couple of horses come out of that race that really go on the next month and 6 weeks.
Absolutely. Is there a reason you guys backed him up quickly? Like, I love the way Dad trains, especially these horses that I think that are going to go a long way. Was there a reason for the short backup after, like, he had I think 8 months off away from the racetrack, and then to back him up 2 weeks in a row? Is that just to try and miss some of the other boys that you got in your stable?
Yeah, just kind of worked out like that. So we gave him 6 trials, so he had that really good foundation residual fitness under his belt, and his last trial was a really solid trial. They got home in 56 flat, and so we're happy with his groundwork. And he's a sort of horse that we don't do much with him at home, so we kind of have to race him into fitness. We just thought, last week he had that really good soft run on the fence. I know it was good time at Bendigo. He's pretty hot at the moment, but he's had that really nice soft run last week, and we don't do much with him at home, so we just thought that week to week back up would have just tightened him up perfectly. And he's a good doing horse, so going forward he probably will have a backup going into a big race, but he'll have this week off, and we'll probably pop Reactor now in that up to 105 race. So it kind of was a bit tactical to separate those two horses.
It's a good problem to have. You've got a couple others, and we'll talk about those guys in a second as well. But it's a very nice problem to have in the stable. Dominic Marantello too. He would have been pretty happy afterwards. He's a pretty happy man. He loves seeing his horses racing. He likes his little antics. I'm sure he's over the moon with how he's returned to the track.
Yeah, for sure. Dom's wrapped, and this horse was so good to him last year as a 3-year-old. He went up to Sydney and ran second in the Derby, and then came down here and ran a great third in the Breeders' Crown. And Dom had a great journey with him last year, and it was just a shame he went amiss sort of after the Breeders' Crown. But Dom was wrapped after the race. He's just told us look after the horse, and we have to be pretty long-sided with him. We think he's going to make a great Country Cups horse, but if we just look after him the next 3 months and sort of place him and space his runs, a little bit, and not tax him too much, we should have a nice horse on our hands in the next season or two, everything going right. So no, Dom's wrapped. He enjoys having a whiskey and watching his replays the day after they win, and he's always pretty pumped.
Absolutely, and rightfully he should. And look, that's one of the things everyone says about COVID-19 and all the rest, but there's some characters out there we need back at the racetrack. I think for everyone's sake, and Dom's high up on that list as well. Mate, you did a great job for Art Major and the guys at Alabar. They have sponsored a couple of these segments. I should have possibly rang them and chased them up for this one, but pretty impressed with how this little bloke's progressing and for mine improving in his racing style. And we talk about Major Delico. He was huge, wasn't he?
Yeah, for sure. He's exceptionally bred. Half brother to it's lost me, Paul. Half brother to
I'll tell you in a sec. You keep talking. It's all good.
It's lost me. Super well bred, but yeah, it was a big horse at the yearling sales. We kind of took him slow at 2 and 3, and credit to Diane and Luke Stokey. They put us under no pressure to rush this horse, and he was cuddled up as a 2 and 3-year-old, and then this year as a 4-year-old, he's just gone on leaps and bounds. And as the journey's gone on, we sort of said he's the kind of horse we want to go through his grades, and he did that. And then I said to Diane, now his job is to win us a Metro and be competitive at Melton. And with his little bit of gate speed and his ability to make a mid-race move and be tough, Melton will suit him. And he's no star, but he's going to be a really consistent horse that just keeps racking up the placings in the top 5s. And come summertime, we'll be able to take him to some of those weaker Country Cups. And he's a really nice horse. We call him Nelson, and he's one of the stable favourites at home. He's a real cool dude.
Heaven Rocks is the name of that horse, Josh. You just make
Heaven Rocks.
Make it feel better.
He's no slouch.
No, mate, I've stopped it at about just prior to the 800-metre mark, and it's one of those things when you've got multiple runners in a race, I think sometimes can possibly dictate the way you drive a horse. You don't want to get into trouble with the stewards. No one wants to get into trouble with the stewards. And your decision to go wide when you did, you got Pirate Bay in front, bling it to the max in the def, the young Ryan Sanderson, who's effectively having his first Metro drive as well. And then you're coming round 3 deep. Did you think for a minute that maybe Ryan doesn't hand up to you because no one wants to get into trouble?
No, not really. So Bling It to the Max is a sit sprint horse, and obviously, Pirate Bay, his main intentions were to lead, and Ryan was told just to float out and try and get a spot, and if it suited to go forward. If he thought they were going too hot, and he had to go back And my instructions were, say Single Tree Road holds the lead, and Explicit Castle kicks up, and there was 3 fence available for me, and I could have gone 3 the fence or 4 the fence just to try and earn some money. But as soon as they went so hot so early, the mid-race move kind of suited me. But no, Bling to the Max is a sit sprint horse, and he's the kind of horse that does his best work when he's covered up. So, like I said, it is tricky, but when you've got different owners with different horses, you just have to drive for yourself. And I think Chris drove to win the race. That Pirate Bay has to probably lead to win, and Ryan drove a perfect race. He had a decision early whether to coast forward under his own steam or to go back, and he went forward and ran second and nearly won the race. If he went back, he probably runs 5th, 6th or 7th. So yeah, Ryan drove his horse terrific, and just it worked out that out of all our 3 horses, I was the only one not involved in that early burn, and that was probably the difference in the end.
Yep, sorry about that, mate. I got a phone call coming in from someone at the same time. But it was a difference. But this horse, from what I've seen, like fortunate enough to do most of the Saturday nights for a fair while, he's just progressed. He's got stronger. This part here, just with 200 metres to go, or 100 metres to go right now, he really dug deep and had a crack, didn't he? And I think that's a part that he's really sort of started to improve on.
Yeah, for sure. He's a funny horse to watch because he kind of looks like he's just plodding up the straight, and he looks like his speed doesn't really change or improve. But yeah, he really stuck his head out, and that was probably a concern early days. He ran a lot of seconds as a 3-year-old, and we were a little bit concerned with his will to win. But there's been a couple of times this season where I've overdrove him, and he's been in a dogfight, and he's really fought it out. And it was the same Saturday night. He put his neck in front of Pirate Bay, and Bling to the Max was flashing down the outside, but it kind of felt they were never going to get to him. He really dug deep, and if he can continue that, if a horse can try, you're halfway there.
Oh, absolutely. I like the way you're driving, mate. I don't think the new whip rule seems to have affected you greatly. Although I did see here caution for body out of the confines of the car. They're making it hard. You can't do anything, but horses just seem to be running for you right at the minute. Yeah,
to be honest, probably is the horses. When you've got the quality of horse in front of you and you can drive confidently, it just makes all the difference. And I think any driver will tell you that. And that's just the case at home at the moment. We've got some really good quality horses, and you just go out on the track full of confidence, and it probably shows in the results. But no, we're really blessed at the moment. We've got some great clients and some really nice stock and bread and butter horses as well that are in the stable. And it just gives you a lot of confidence on the track.
Talk about characters. We want to get around to the racetrack too. Lukey Stokey, he'd be itchy to get back to the track too. He likes it when you get a winner, doesn't he?
Yeah, for sure. He's been a great supporter of us, and he definitely got me going early days with a lot of horses. And yeah, I've heard whispers he's actually got a stable hand license, and he started a little apprenticeship, just learning to pick up the boxes and push the sulky and this kind of stuff. So. Yeah, he loves his horses, and that's the best. His welfare always at the forefront of his mind, and he actually treats his horses, like their pets or like his, kids, so to speak. And he loves all the horses that he owns, and he'll retire one and find a nice paddock for it before just flogging it off once it's done. It's great.
Absolutely. I noticed Buster's been trialling pretty good at Shep, so that's one of his favourites. I know that I think he's got I think he likes all of his race horses, but he definitely has a bigger, softer spot for a couple of them. Mate, I just wanted to cap off on Bendigo the other night. I spoke to Dad leading up to Bendigo, and I think that was terrifically well received. I think well done to you guys for making yourselves available for it and all the rest. But just a couple of the key players. Better be sorry for Bruce Edwards. It was sensational. What's the plans with him?
Yeah, he's a really nice horse. He's got a lot of ability, which, Emma and Clayton and Chris Alford, they'll tell you how much ability that horse has. And he's just got a couple of little niggling issues that we really have to space his runs and look after him at home and just try and keep him happy and healthy. But he's going to race this Saturday night. I think there's a 79 to 86 possibly for him to race in, and he'll probably just race, every fortnight. And going forward, once he gets up in grade, he'll possibly more of a sit sprint horse. He's quite fast, but nothing would sort of surprise us with that horse if we can keep him sound and happy.
Absolutely. Reactor now, did he pull up okay? I thought he was huge at Bendigo.
Yeah, pulled up super and couldn't have been happier with him. Probably the most pleasing stuff on our end was how relaxed he was going to the gate. He drove perfectly and made relaxed nicely, settled, and then made a mid-race move and was able to hand up without over racing. And he was terrific. We couldn't have been any happier with his run against those elite horses. And we'll race him this week in the 2200 metre race. We think that's the best option for him, not the mile race. We'll race him this week in the up to 105 2200 metre race. And just wait and see how he goes this week and just leave our options open. And we want to be alongside with him as well. We think he's going to be a stayer and make a country cups horse. So, if he can get the ring craft, and which we saw more of that at Bendigo, he'll go places, especially come the time on the 2600 metre races.
At Shep, Josh, as you know, I've been fortunate to do the parade rings, and I'll probably watch a lot more of horses parading than I've ever watched in my life. But he was just in a funny mood in the parade ring. I know you were saying about a hanging bit or a pulling bit, and you weren't sure which one to go to. But every time I'd watched him, he was a typical Auckland reactor. He was old style. He'd walk in with a presence, and he never. But at Shep, he was on his toes. He wasn't happy. He was back to that old style. I was surprised at Bendigo when you brought him into the parade ring, because that was a big field, and you brought him in when all the horses were still there. I thought where you guys are positioned at Bendigo, you may have just left him and took him straight out on the track when everyone else was going out. But you actually brought him in, and he was so calm. Was it just the bit, you think, at Shepparton that set him off, or was there something else maybe behind the scenes a bit?
Yeah, he was. You're right. He was a little bit different, Shepparton. Even when we got there, he was looking around. I'm not sure whether it's the big open shed there, and we're positioned at Shepparton. Every horse comes past us onto the track and past us coming back to the track, and that can set some horses off. We've seen it with some young horses, especially if they're there for quite a couple of hours and there's a lot of activity coming past them. It can set them off. So he was in a different mood at Shepparton, but over the mile, drawn one at Shep, we had a decision to make. We didn't quite have his gear right, and we thought, we'd go more with the hanging or the pulling, and we thought it's a mile race. We'll just cut him loose and just make sure we can steer him around. And he's still on a 30.4 quarter that night, so it wasn't completely out of control. But we worked him this morning. I actually worked Better Be Sorry, so Letty can react to now this morning, and he was the same. He drove like butter today and worked really nice. So we think we've got his gear pretty right, and if we just don't have him too fresh going into his races, hopefully, like you said, at Bendigo, he can be a bit more of a professional, because you go to those good days, you go to Miracle Mile days, Victoria Cup nights, into the Dominion nights, and you look at the good horses. Most of them wear no head check, have very basic gear. They walk around in the parade ring like old dags, and there's just a clear-cut difference between those really good horses and your nice horses. They're just professionals.
Yep. And he's on that fringe, isn't he? And I know Dad's got a high opinion of him, as you guys have too, but he's already a really nice horse. But he could be a really, really nice horse if everything clicks, that takes that last little click, I suppose, because he's already, like most people would love to have him, and I'm wrapped for Bluey Old. I think he deserves a good horse. He's another one. You got some good owners actually that'd be missing the races, but there is an X factor about Reactor now that could be really exciting in another year's time, obviously too. We're not talking this year, that's for sure.
Oh, no doubt. And look, Graham's great, and the guys that are in Reactor now are great. They've just said to us, we'll leave it up to you. We'll just keep giving him little freshen ups here and there, and they want to be long-sided and look after this horse too. And I think this summer's going to be the making of Reactor now. I think if we can race him in the country cups and get that seasoned racing under his belt, and like he's still only had I think 15 odd starts. If he's probably another 15 starts off being a seasoned racehorse, and I think racing all these nice horses is going to be a good experience for him. But by no means are we going to feel the pressure to throw him into the deep end right now. And we really think a summer in the Country Cups is going to be the making of this horse. And like I said, I'm excited for the first mile and a half race that he goes in. I think that's going to be his bread and butter going forward. But in saying that, you know, he won a race at Bendigo a couple of months ago, going 152, coming from 1 out, 2 back. So I think he's got that high speed as well. So, he's going to need that. If he's going to take that next step, he's going to need both of those attributes.
Right, I've got 2 more questions and then I'll let you go, mate. Big Jack Hammer.
Easy done.
He was good. Jack was good, I thought, first up at Bendigo in the wet. You know, I think it was probably pilot error that it was the only reason he galloped. I don't think, you know, I'm not bagging you or anything like that.
That was a shocker. I'll bag myself.
Shepparton, he was okay, but he just wasn't himself at Bendigo?
No, he was flat, and his blood work came back well below par. So we've sent him straight to Peter Clark's at Murchison for a freshen up, and that's where Sir Athletic's been the last sort of 10 days before this week. And he just needs a little freshen up, reset, re-go. We've just come out of, you know, a couple of cold, wet weeks of the last end of winter, and I think it's just taken a toll on a couple of those horses that have had a long season. So yeah, we've just pressed the reset button with him, and yeah, we'll go again in about 2 weeks and start getting him ticking along again. But he's sort of an older horse now, and we've probably just got to monitor him and keep him happy as well. But yeah, no, he's just a little bit unhealthy, and a light 10 to 14 days, he should come back fine.
I tell a lie because I said 2 questions. I've actually still got 2 questions for you. Sir Leddick.
That's right, mate.
Sir Leddick, I spoke to you early on when I was doing the parade ring talks. I think it was a post-race interview, and you alluded that there's a bit of an X factor, we say about Reactor now, but you got a really, really high opinion of Sir Leddick, but he's just sort of mixes his form from time to time, doesn't he?
Yeah, for sure. And he was a similar one just towards the end of winter there. His blood work just went off, and that's the reason he had to freshen up the last fortnight. We just kind of needed to, you know, get him healthy if he was going to have a really good back end of the season. And it's really funny because, you know, we had quite a few horses get sick during that traditional Breeders' Crown time, and it's the same story every year. We've got sick horses for Vic Breeds and sick horses for Breeders' Crown, and now they've shifted that to the end of the year. You know, I think you're just going to see a lot more horses up and going well for those series. And it was, you know, we kind of chuckled. They got to Breeders' Crown semi-final week traditionally, and we just had horses just getting really flat. And usually we're trying to get horses up and going for Group 1. So we saw that again this year, and yeah, he's going to have a quiet trial on Tuesday morning at Kilmore, and he'll be nominated for Saturday. His work since coming back from the water walk has just been sensational, and he seems really well within himself. So he's another horse that we want to look after. We're in no rush to throw him into the deep end either.
Yep. So will he go in the Smoking Up Sprint?
He'll be nominated for the Smoking Up Sprint and the O2, which is the 2200 metre up to 105. And I'll leave that one up to the old boy. he can he can make that decision and probably chat to the owners. But yeah, I'll leave that to him.
Talking tactics, mate, I love finding out little pieces about stables and how they work and what makes them succeed, I suppose. Working horses on a Sunday, it pricked my ears just there before because, you know, I work them on a Sunday. It doesn't worry me too much at all, but I'm not full-time like you guys are and all the rest. Do you do that a lot, and does it worry you working horses on Sundays?
Yeah, not very common. If horses are racing sort of Monday, Tuesday, they'll go on the walker, or if it's one that ties up, they'll have a light jog. But those 3 boys missed their hobble yesterday due to our track being wet, and we had a really nice afternoon here yesterday, and the track dried up. And just with how rock hard they have to be going to Melton next Saturday, we just thought we'd work those 3 boys today. And the track was perfect. It was a nice morning, and had a good night last night, so we kind of felt like, you know, getting up and working those 3 horses. It wasn't an issue at all, and traditionally, no, we don't. But yeah, for those 3, we made the exception today.
Absolutely. You have a short of a track driver, mate. I'll jump in the car and come across and drive one of those 3 without a worry in the world. And who ended up hitting the golf balls the straightest?
Oh, I was shocking. Mine sprayed off the fence post and nearly came back and hit us. Dave Jr. actually hit one down the middle, and Laura, she reckons it's the first time that she hit a golf ball, but she hit one straight down the middle as well. And then I saw her kicking a footy. She actually kicks a footy better than me. So, yeah, I don't know if I'll be playing any sport against Laura in the near future. I think she'll outdo me.
When I rang Joshy, he was hitting golf balls, he said, but he was on the trotting track, which worried me a little bit. Thankfully, you don't have horses in those yards, mate. Joshy, thank you very much, mate. I think you're going to have a good lead up right through to Christmas. You got some exciting times coming up, and I appreciate you giving me the time on a Sunday night, mate. I really do. Thank you very much, Josh Aiken.
Thanks, Paul. Cheers, mate.